Lots and lots of people talk about Iron Mike Tyson. And people talk about how much of a killer he was in the ring. But when you look at it in terms of legendary fighters he faced, legendary, you realize he wasn't all that. So Mike Tyson is really known for beating two legendary fighters. All the rest are not legendary fighters. Larry Holmes, who was an outstanding heavyweight, who was dominant in the late 70s, early 80s, and he also beat Michael Spinks, who was undefeated heavyweight champion who had beaten Larry Holmes, just came off of beating Larry Holmes twice. Now, the funny thing is, if you ever watch the fights, Michael Spinks came in with a knee injury, a foot injury, if you haven't been paying attention. And Larry Holmes had just been beaten twice by Michael Spinks. Robbed the first time, second time, he got beat. And the thing about it is, Larry Holmes did continue his career, and he did some things really well, but Larry Holmes wasn't the Larry Holmes before he got beaten by Michael Spinks, as he would say, robbed, because he was going for the 49-0 to match Rocky Marciano's record, and he always felt the establishment was against him after that. Now, to be honest, a lot of people were intimidated by Mike Tyson, and I think that fear factor took them out of the boxing game, because Larry Holmes was actually boxing Mike Tyson quite well. But the point is, of all the legendary fighters Mike Tyson faced, these are the two that he beat. Michael Spinks, who's not really a true heavyweight, who had beaten Larry Holmes twice. And actually, Michael Spinks, if you go and look at his actual career, after he defeated Larry Holmes, he had two other fights. One against Jerry Cooney, and one against some guy. And then he faced Mike Tyson. And quite frankly, this was the end of his career. It's not that Mike Tyson ended his career. It was that he had an injury. And so he couldn't continue boxing. Larry Holmes, on the other hand, could continue boxing, so he did. So it was an injured Michael Spinks that Mike Tyson faced, and with Larry Holmes, an intimidated Larry Holmes, who had just come off of two defeats. Alright, but the point is, these are the two names that Mike Tyson was able to beat. Everybody else was a world champion for a moment and so on, but they're not legendary fighters. Now, in terms of other legendary fighters Mike Tyson faced, Evander Holyfield he faced twice, who beat him twice. He also faced Lennox Lewis, who was a legendary heavyweight, and Lennox Lewis knocked him out. What I'm really saying in a gist is Mike Tyson is an overhyped name. Now, he did face some good fighters. Some of the really well-known fighters that he faced were fighters such as Franz Botha, Frank Bruno, Buster Mathis Jr., Razor Ruddock twice, legendary fight, Bone Crusher Smith, Buster Douglas, who upsetted him, Tyrell Biggs, who was a world champion, Tony Tucker, Pinklon Thomas, and Trevor Burbank. But these were not strong heavyweights. I can tell you that for a fact. They weren't strong heavyweights, and therefore not legendary heavyweights. But he did face his good share of good fighters. So I always found that Mike Tyson was an overhyped dude. He's kind of like an Adrian Broner, except he got knocked out by someone who should not have knocked him out. Adrian Broner, when he gets beat, he at least gets beat by people who were world champions or people who really are elite fighters. Buster Douglas wasn't elite. Wasn't supposed to beat Mike Tyson. And similarly for Kevin McBride and Danny Williams, who knocked him out cold. Okay? Now, why am I saying all of this? Because for such an overhyped fighter, why is it that this guy is still making a career and doing TV and doing a whole bunch of stuff? Well, the answer to that is he is marketed as this beast. He's sold as a product, and because of that, Mike Tyson is relevant to this day. Mike Tyson, however, as much as the mystique behind him and the violence outside the ring, built him a reputation so that the whole wide world knows the name Mike Tyson. Truly, the truth is that Iron Mike Tyson really underperformed in his career. When the chips really counted, he couldn't bring it up. Instead, he folded. So that's Mike Tyson's career. For those of you who don't know about Mike Tyson, that's how his career went. So somebody would say, if all things being equal, Mike Tyson was to face Floyd Mayweather, would he beat Floyd Mayweather? And the answer to that is no. And for people saying that Mike Tyson early in his career would have beaten all the guys like Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis, I say again, no. Mike Tyson's style is neutralized by Holyfield's skill and Lennox Lewis's skill, tying him up, etc. So it just is what it is. Always remember, guys, it's not about how much punching power you have and you can burst concrete walls and all that stuff. Nope. When you're moving in boxing, boxing is a science. It's about placement. It's not just about speed and quickness. It's about timing and positioning yourself. And if somebody's changing the angle just a bit, you can be able to punch a hole through a concrete wall, but you definitely won't break their ribs. You won't even damage them, especially if they roll with your punches. Think about that. You guys have a great one.